Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the R&D podcast. I am your host, Rachel.
And I'm Talia.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about those people who have it all, but they still cheat.
Oh my gosh. Dun, 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 dun.
And I feel like we have both had exposure to this sort of thing, this dynamic.
Yeah.
But recently, and I shared this with Delia, someone that I know, they came forward because they had gotten caught in their situation and their relationship was falling apart. And then I said, well, wait a minute, like what happened? You know, she was beautiful. She really took a lot of care of herself. I knew this gentleman before, when he had nothing, by the way. He became a successful entrepreneur. And again, he ended up with a really attractive woman. She was very obviously into him, and they had a beautiful child together, and, you know, bought the house, and it was all the things. And you look at it, and it always made me so proud of him and happy for them and everything, because he had come such a long way. And then he went and sort of rocked the tower. And because I do this show with Delia, I really wanted to understand why, like what is that? And he said, I just got to a point in my life where I felt invincible. And I go, what? And he goes, yeah, you know, beautiful wife, beautiful house, beautiful cars, like, you know, the business and the popularity, right? Because everyone's like, oh hey, gosh, how are you? Like this and that, invited to everything. And he just felt like he was on top of the world, and he felt invincible. And that made him feel like he just could cheat.
He could cheat, yeah. I think oftentimes what I believe is that they think, she relies on me, she needs me, she's not going to go anywhere, I could do whatever I want, look at the life I've provided, look at what I buy her, look at what she has. And so oftentimes,
like, she's so lucky.
Yeah, she is so lucky. And so I can do all the things that I want to do because she's not going to go anywhere. And I think that, you know, I know that on every podcast episode, it seems like I always say that, you know, you don't leave after the first demise or the second demise, and you always make excuses. Well, he was drinking. Well, he's going through something. Well, she's sleazy. Well, do you see how she dresses? And we can make all the excuses all day long. But at the end of the day, what it boils down to is that he has this false pretense and feeling that she ain't going nowhere. And so when finally you're like, I'm done, I don't care about the houses, the cars, the this, the that, whatever it is that you're going through, I think that that's got to be very shocking to them, because let me tell you something, the women will show up. All the women will show up, and especially when they don't have to be the ones having to take care of you as your husband. They're just, you know, wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Or they weren't on that journey, on that climb.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's a heck of a climb.
Especially if you're understanding that you're with this person when they had nothing, and then you climb up that mountain, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to get helicoptered up, and they don't even want to take that journey up that mountain. They just want to get straight helicoptered. And so, and that's my analogy with that, by the way. But I'm just saying, when it boils down to it, most women in the end won't put up with it, because it's like, you know, life is short. And some women will, by the way, and they're gonna look the other way. There's a lot of memes on social media where it's like, when you're with your billionaire husband and he's cheating, and, you know, you have the Hermes bags and you look the other way,
and you put the sunglasses on and
you pretend you didn't see anything. And we see that a lot, you know, because that happens a lot too. And oftentimes, you know, I always say this too, there's never a good time to leave somebody. So there's always like a holiday, there's always someone's birthday, a celebration, there's a vacation plan, there's so many things going on in your life that you're like, well, I don't want to rock the boat right now. Well, you know, it's kind of her fault. Well, you know, she's sleazy. And so we go down the list and the line of things that we excuse this bad behavior. But in the end, you know, if you really put your life into, if you put your life on a scale to say, you know what, nothing outweighs how short I'm going to live here. Like, meaning life is so short. And so why live in a life of hostility, in a life of no peace, in a life of not being able to trust a person because he's doing this time and time again. And so I think that you have to take all those things into consideration. And a lot of the time, men will test their luck because they don't think you're going to go anywhere, by the way.
It's like, so I wonder if, you know, because how they say, okay, so like men really enjoy the chase, but then women can argue all day long that men don't chase anymore. You know, is it a thing that you always have to keep them a little bit on their toes? And then how do the women do that? Like, what's the best way to make a man feel secure? Like I'm yours, you got me, but also, you know, I could fly the coop if you don't act right. Like, like, how can they find
I mean,
that
in
balance?
reality, think about it though. A lot of the time, also I've seen this where the balance thing that you're asking the question is, the only real way would be like, if you don't act right, then I'll leave you. And so when you start to do that too, then it gives you a little bit of instability in your relationship, because then
it's
you're
kind
like,
of threatening.
yeah,
right?
it's a little bit. And sometimes, we're just bluffing and we don't know anything specifically other than we have a feeling, or we see something's off, or all of a sudden he's not, maybe you're having sex, maybe it's different, maybe he's talking to you different, maybe it's like so many things that we as women we pick up on. And then you're like, well, if you don't act right, you have other, you have choices and I have choices, and you don't have to be with me. And then the threats start coming out. And so when the threats start to come out, I think that's when it starts to rock the boat a little bit. And so unfortunately, he might look at you and say, she ain't going nowhere. She always says that. She's constantly threatening me. She's constantly saying this, that, or the other. And so I think the only real way is when you actually walk away, honestly. That's the only real way that he would know that, like, you're about your money.
The only way he's going to learn is the hard way.
The hard way. And you too, where you're like, okay, I'm done. And I'm telling you, sometimes people are in these broken marriages 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Sometimes people are in these broken marriages for 20 plus years, and they look at timelines like, I've already invested 20 years in this. I've already, spent this much time with this person. I can't imagine my life without them. And what am I going to do? And then you start looking, unfortunately, I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but you start looking outward thinking, so when am I going to find another person, and who will it be? And you start thinking about the person that you haven't met, which is so weird because I've heard it. And so I think there's no real way, because if you start to threaten your partner, then they're going to feel like she's going to leave anyway, so I might as well do it.
Yeah.
So I might as well. I mean, she's already threatening me. She already thinks I'm doing it. Yeah. I've heard it before, by the way. It's like, you already think I'm being with so and so and so and so.
They're already paying the price for doing something that they may have not done yet.
Yeah. Or they are doing it, because sometimes, we're intuitive beings. And I know that we talk about this possibly on every episode. I think that if you have a doubt in your mind and you're not really certain, I think you got to go take that to the higher power and pray on it. And I'll tell you, I've seen it before. The things that didn't work will just like pop up and start freaking acting like it's possessed, and it'll show you all the information of whatever questions you had. I always say though, if asking you shall receive, God's going to show it to you. However, the devil is a mother effer. He's going to hear it too. So you got to be careful what you're praying. But really, there's no real way other than, you guys maybe having a conversation, maybe once a week you check in with each other, maybe 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, to just kind of unpack things and say, what are your consensus? What are your feelings? How do you feel, what are, where you guys are both kind of understanding what you guys are feeling. And we know that that's easier said than done, especially when you've been in a volatile relationship. Oftentimes you don't even care to sit down with the person to see what their consensus are and their feelings are, honestly.
Sometimes when you've heard enough and you've seen enough,
it's like, what do you call it when you've gone to the puppet show and you see the strings, you're like, dude, I've already been there, done that. Just come on now. Like, let's keep it moving.
I had actually been in a party, a corporate, it was a corporate event, and it was the CEO of a company, and he was inviting everybody back to his house during the holiday season, and everybody went back to his house. It was a gorgeous house, and I got to know his wife and everything, but I knew, and everybody knew, that there was this one individual that he was having an affair with, and she went to the house too, and she was there and sipping champagne, and he came up and was like, oh, here's this, that, and the third, or whatever. And she's like, oh, these are delicious, and kind of looked at him. And the wife was standing there, and she's looking at her. Like, I could see that the wife knew this is the one. And they didn't really care. It's like, to me, I would think that, why would he say, hey, we should all go back to my place? Like what, to show, to peacock, like to even show the
life
side
that he
one
lives.
The life that he's providing to his wife. Like, it was the oddest thing ever. I was fairly young at the time when this happened, but I was really observing the situation, and I feel like everybody was drinking and having a good time, and like I was in the middle of a soap opera, a telenovela, and I was like, oh man, because his wife, she was his age, so she was an older woman, but she was very elegant and she was very kind and everything. And this the girl, the side one, she was 29 years old, tall, blonde, but very did not care. And I thought, wow, this man's really risking this
It all.
whole thing. Like the whole 25 years that he's been in built with his wife in bringing the mistress into the home. So it was a huge eye opener for me. And I could see, like, based on his features, that maybe in his past, maybe he didn't have so much luck with the opposite sex, with the girlies, right, with the women. And then all of a sudden,
he wasn't good looking or what?
You know, and then he kind of had like this nerd thing about him and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, he's CEO of a Fortune 500 company,
wow.
and then he has options, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so whether or not the wife knew that there was an actual affair and turned a blind eye, I don't know. I just think that something.
But I definitely think that like I said, I think on a couple of previous episodes, it's like you kind of know, like it just because intuitively you just know, it's just like that girl's going to be an issue or that girl's an issue, and they move subtly, and it's very subtle, and it doesn't seem like it's nothing, and all of a sudden they start to move and they start to do this with their hair and they start to laugh a little bit more, and again you obviously fall in love with this person for a reason, but you start looking at your dude and you're like, you're funny but you ain't that funny, and so she thinks he's like a freaking comedian, and you're like, okay, she's doing this whole thing, and it's really hard because, again, I always say this, it's like, how do you call that out? Like, how do you tell her, stop playing with your hair and stop laughing like a freaking, I don't know, like you're being a hussy? Like, how do you call somebody out? You almost can't, you almost have to kind of like
maintain the composure, it's like whoever loses composure loses, and
especially at a dinner party, like you got to take into consideration, if I lose it in front of everybody, like I'm going to make a show, I'm going to make a scene, and then you have to play out like what happens when you make a scene. I know some people wouldn't care and they'd be like grabbing the chongo and freaking like throwing the girl out, but if she's not giving you any specific indication other than she's being flirty, it's really hard to call that out, unfortunately.
So I think the moral of the story for that particular story that I'm bringing forth, that I think we can all take away, is that I don't think that she actually knew that her husband was having an affair with this woman. I think that this woman, the wife, was sophisticated enough to get the F out of my house. I don't think that she was shy, is what I'm trying to say.
Ooh.
But I will tell you, in hindsight, looking at it, I think that she had a sense, like Delia's saying, like she just knew, because there was a lot of us there, like a lot of people came to his house, and there was a lot of saleswomen and all the kind, different great looking women, right, in this organization.
But it's a vibe, right?
But
Rachel?
She picked up, she figured it out quick, because we were there maybe a half hour and she was already like, like with that one. And the reason I want to point that out is because you got to trust your instincts.
Mm-hmm.
And I could put money that she thought this one's going to be a problem without realizing
she was the problem. Yeah. And oftentimes, guess what? Unfortunately, this is not to rattle cages. Unfortunately, you're always the last one to find out. The family's going to know, maybe even your family's going to know, and you're going to be the last one to find out. But at the end of the day, again, if you take it to God and have God show it to you, then he will reveal it to you. And there's nothing worse than living in hostility, meaning like you're threatening when you don't have concrete evidence, because I think that also will push your significant other away, because it's like, well, if she already is saying that I'm doing this, then I'm going to do it.
It makes you a joke, and it makes you a joke to a degree. They sort of, you lose weight. There's a saying in business that says, don't throw dirt because you lose ground. Usually that term is used to, don't criticize others, don't criticize your competition, because you're the one that loses ground. But you can apply it to this. If you're throwing threats, it's like you're digging your own hole, and you're losing ground in his eyes, like, until eventually, like, she's just gonna bark. And now he knows how far you'll go or not. Like, basically you're revealing to him, I think you're cheating, and I'm just barking, and I'm actually not taking action. Now he knows that. He sees how you operate under the pretense of like, oh, she thinks I'm cheating, and this is all she does. She just barks. She just throws some things. Well, now, guess what? You just gave him a little sample of your playbook, so he might as well go cheat. Not just because you're accusing him, but he might as well go do it because he knows all you're going to do is bark.
Yep.
So you got to remember, don't make threats, because you're throwing dirt, and you're the only one losing ground. Especially if you're wrong, you're losing ground. But I will say, follow your instincts, follow your intuition. The next thing that I want to add to that before we kind of close this out is, I think it's important for you to understand that you are a woman of value and that you also have options in the world.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's important to keep yourself up in your appearance. Even if you're premenopausal or menopausal and you've gained 40 pounds, whatever it is, it's okay. You can still put your makeup on and do your hair and dress nice and let people compliment you.
So
wow,
true.
you look great. Like your hair looks pretty. Whatever it may be, fill yourself up with that. Don't be so concerned with the 20-year-olds that are looking at him because you know it's about the money. Guys don't
for
care
sure.
how they get the looks though.
Yeah.
They don't care about that. Like they understand that their money moves mountains with the youngins.
Yeah.
You know, they understand that. But for you, it's okay to have your social group, have your women, you know, your female friends. I mean, have the guy that smiles at you at the coffee shop. It's okay. Like it's okay to go into the world. I was telling Delia the other day. I said, beauty's a currency. A beautiful smile. I mean, the amount of people that react to your beautiful smile.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to say, give yourself permission to radiate.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, don't just be miserable. Don't just be like, oh, bitter because you see that he's attracting flies, so to speak. Find your light again and find your own way to radiate and to be attractive in your own way. And the truth will come because if you pray, you don't got to go digging. You don't got to fight the battles. It'll come to you. It'll come to you.
And I definitely think before we close out too, I think that you have to watch who you're speaking to and who you're giving this information to, because I think oftentimes, the best friends are looking at your significant other depending on how you guys are living, and then now they can probably see themselves implanted into your life. Believe me, I see it. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. And so I think that you have to take that into consideration, and you have to be mindful of who you're sharing the information of what's happening in your marriage, because oftentimes we think like, I know she's not going to judge me. I know that she loves me. She's going to come from a good place. But you have to have someone in your ear that has neutral ground in the way that you're feeling, and not just taking your side saying, oh yeah, leave that mother effer. Because oftentimes that happens. And or you see the way that your friends fight. Well, I'll divorce you. If I don't like it, I'll just divorce you, or you can leave. And so then you start to think that that's the way you should, fight your battles. So it's really important that you're around a great group of friends or group of people, or maybe like, I'm not really big on the therapy thing, by the way. That's not my thing. But maybe that could be your thing, where you find a good therapist
just
that
to
can
hear
kind of
yourself say
it out loud, and then have neutral ground, or give you kind of their neutral, responses on what you're feeling. So I think it's really important that whoever you're speaking to, that they're not throwing dirt on your partner either, because at the end of the day, it's going to make you feel some type of way. If you're talking to a friend and you're like, hey, I want to talk to you about what happened. And if they start saying, oh, he's a freaking loser, he's a mother effer, you need to leave him, you're way better than him, look at how pretty you are, then, they start to kind of dim your significant other's light, and you're like, yeah, screw him. And in reality, you need to come from a place of someone telling you something that's very vanilla and neutral, where it's not siding with him and it's not siding with you, but it's giving you an outsider's perspective. And I think it's so important that you do that, because we as women have the girlfriends, the tias, the mom, the sisters, and everyone has their own input. And so you need to go to someone that has a neutral input of what you're going through, in my opinion.
Misery loves company.
Always.
You're going to have women who are in marriages where their husband had whole ass other kids, affairs, and had children outside of the marriage, saying, stay for the kids, stay, because it's not the family, the grandkids. And then you're going to have, women that are divorced saying, oh yeah, you should leave him and you can get better and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no. Delia and I, we're divorced, and we're not even advocates for divorce. Like, we sit here going, think it through, man.
Yeah,
think it through,
it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. So really think about it. So anyway, that's all we got. Cheers.